Hi, this is Dana, and on this channel I speak about Gnostic spirituality. Um, in this video today, God has guided me to speak about death. There's a certain spirit connected to the process of death. Um, and of course, death in itself as a process, it's I don't know how to say, it's some sort of interaction. God says interaction between death realm and the 3D where we are here. Yeah. And it goes through astral as well. So it involves more dimensions. Yeah. uh, and it can differ from individual to individual. I'm going to try to give very general description because it's so much information connected to death uh, itself as a process that it's impossible to just lump it together and to go in detail. Now, most times in 3D, when death occurs, it's consequence of the fact that too much necromancy was done, too many spirits from death realm were used doing all sorts of witchcraft and all sorts of dark arts practices. And at some point, somebody delivered karma, and then it's either way, either that they succeed to kill you using necromancy and all this, or you delivered karma and the forces were rolled back, and the spirit goes to collect, and it collects from those who, either those who casted it or those who were being used and participating in the process. So because in these rituals there are many individuals participating. This is what happens. uh, Although we are being taught in 3D to accept death as a natural process, as part of life, it is not. Teaching you all of these, the fact, as of course this applies to me too. I grew up, and all my adult life, I thought at some point I would have to die. Um, so I didn't see death as unusual, and I didn't see death as being possible to avoid, because they teach us this. And they teach us this because they literally, what they do, then they inflict different type of health concerns on you, then different type of symptoms of disease on you, which gradually make you think that you will die. And what you end up doing is manifesting your death, although there was no reason, no real reason to die. So this is something done on purpose. It's not an accident. You need to know this. Um, okay, so what I will say, again, I will enter into a very general description. I didn't take notes for this because it's just too much information, first of all. Second of all, there's very dark energy which is being sent to me, and I didn't feel like making notes for this video. And God gave me the topic very just few minutes ago. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna start making the video. So I'm just gonna go in general descriptions. I experienced many situations in which death occurred around me, and at some point during my last spiritual journey, I finally experienced the process of death itself during a death attack on me. So I finally got to understand many things which I couldn't in the cases of different individuals dying around me throughout time. I couldn't know what to do to help them at the time. I didn't understand why and how. I just believed, like everybody else, what the doctors were saying, what everybody was saying. But when I went through it myself, in 2023, in my last spiritual journey, I finally understood some of the parts of the process. And of course, that made me wiser, more knowledgeable in how you can help an individual, be it human being, animal, when he goes through it. Because I understood what was going on. And this way I was able to save my own dog Lucky this summer when they were sending death to him, very strong, because of the experience I had in 2023, and because I knew at that point what I was supposed to do to help him. Yeah. Um, so let's try to sum up. Death itself means the spirit detaches from the physical vessel, the physical body. Yeah. When this happens, there are two situations: either that you are healed and you have done spiritual work with God, consciously or not. And if you did, you integrated soul and spirit. And that means they succeeded to kill you. But then, this is the most important thing, what I'm saying now. But then um, your spirit and soul go together to God because you integrated. Yeah. This is the first concern you should have about somebody who's dying. If he's going to God integrated, not necessarily fully healed, but healed enough in order to uh, enter the light realm, yeah, with God, 5D. If the individual didn't heal, or even worse, it's one of those individuals who are doing a lot of harm, that individual usually already lost the soul long time ago before death. So at the point of death, you only have to deal with the spirit and the physical body. And if he didn't integrate, then the spirit cannot go to God. The spirit itself doesn't have enough power to go to God. Yeah. So it will be trapped in 3D by these individuals who do necromancy, and will be used against you and against whoever they decide to carry out war, spiritual war. Yeah. Which is very bad, because it means that spirit will be used in astral projections and doing harm onto people. This is when the spirit it becomes, let's say, evil. It's trained to be poltergeist, and if they succeed to pull that spirit into a human body, that will mean some sort of incarnation, but not a divine one, but done by darkness. And when that human uh, comes into being, it's going to be these are the karmic individuals, but it's going to be very evil. Partly because of what it's been through. All the time it's been into death realm, being used in necromancy, is time in which it was trained to do harm. Yeah? Okay. So these are the two situations. Now you can help the one who's dying. Integration, healing, enough healing and integration can be done even on deathbed. You can pray for them. You can send them light. You can, of course, this is why candles are being light for dead ones. That's why prayers are being done. This is why you have those 3 days and nights when you should stay next to your dead one, because the spirit didn't leave yet. So you can still help the spirit. This is why you're wearing black during mourning period, because this defends you against spirit attacks, which can be carried out if the spirit gets trapped. Yeah. And this is why you go and do charity and do all those fast I don't know how to say, um, food, meals that you give for the dead one, you know. Basically, it's in order to do a good deed. That's the purpose of it. You must do a good deed for the dead one. So normally, people invite to those meals friends, family. That's wrong. You should invite homeless people, or you should give food to homeless people, because this is a good deed, not people who have their own food and their own money. And the good deed you do by feeding a homeless person or a dog on the street, even, it's much more helpful to the dead one than inviting friends and family to celebrate the death or mourn the death of them. Yeah. So this is very important to understand, because we are being taught very wrong information about all of these processes. And going through all of this, I learned in my spiritual work with God the true meaning and how we should be doing and what it's the purpose of it, you know. Okay, so you can help on deathbed by praying. Even you can help by taking upon you something that is being sent to them. And I prayed this many times, especially for Lucky and also for my other dogs who they killed. And I succeeded to achieve integration for them on deathbed, by doing so, asking God to transfer to me whatever darkness is being sent upon that soul or spirit of my dog, so I can help him taking upon me what is being sent to him, help him integrate so he can go to God, integrated spirit and soul. Yeah, that's the most important thing you can do. That's the most important thing you can do for them, because that already gives them help. If they're not fully healed, these creeps doing necromancy are able to pull them back sooner or later because of the wounds they carry. But you have done great work, spiritual work for them, because they already get to go to God, and they get even more healing by that, and God can place the soul in another body, either animal or human, and can try to match that with the spirit which they keep trapped, so he can save the spirit. It's a very long work anyhow. Okay, so it's very important doing that. Now, when all of this is happening on deathbed, so during the last whatever days, can be weeks, can be days, can be hours, when this happens, one of most important things which I learned through my own experience, and unfortunately I didn't know it sooner, so I can help the other dogs that they killed. It's that essentially how the spirit detaches from the body. This is basically what happens. It's huge gang stalking of lots of death energy spirits and sorcery, necromancy, even alive humans who claim the death of that human or animal, do ritual sacrifice on them, saying that we sacrifice because they have karma to pay. So they say, because karma came, we sacrifice this and that individual or animal to die in our place because they are creeps. This is why. So when this happens, literally what that individual or animal experiences, it's huge levitation. It's so much that you can sit in front of that person, speak to them, they will not hear you. It's huge. So it's very wrong when they teach us that we have to be quiet around people going through death. It's quite the opposite. What you need to do is you need to yell very loud to them so they can hear you. By hearing you, you establish a string between you and the individual or animal who's dying. And by that string, you can pull him back. You can pull the spirit back into the body. Yeah. So this is extremely important. Again, I can tell you because I've been through it. And it's you faint literally. This is it's you faint a lot during these periods of time, during these death moments, and you cannot hear or speak or I mean, it's like you see what is around you, but you cannot connect to it energetically because something is pulling you in a different direction, and it's pulling you towards darkness in order to feed on you and trap you. This is basically. And when they succeed to detach the spirit from your body, this is when death occurs. Yeah. They use other people to do gang stalking. Namely, they do, for example, slander. That's very important weapon they have. They keep going round and round and round. I saw that person. It looks so sick. I'm sure they will die. You see, I saw that dog. She doesn't take good care of him. I think he doesn't look good. He will die. Stuff like this. Literally, they make people manifest your death. They manipulate that in people's mind and use their energy, manifesting energy, together with darkness work to put that on an individual. And God has shown to me in a bondage breaking for somebody in previous lifetime that somebody was killed by that way. The father of a woman was being um, under heavy levitation and hypnosis, being told she will die, she will die, she's sick, she will die, she's. And once he embraced that thought, they used his energy to put darkness on her. I mean, all the spirits which were sent to him were transferred to her. And literally, it was too heavy darkness, which was pulling her spirit into dark. And this is how she died, just by the belief which her father embraced. She had no other, her spirit was still present. And she was talking to the father and kept saying, I'm not dead. Don't cry. I'm not dead. I'm here. Pull me back. And he wouldn't hear her because of the darkness which he embraced. He couldn't hear her anymore. And he was doing even more harm by crying, by mourning her, by, you know? Okay. And this brings me to the next aspect. What is important that you do if death occurred, if the spirit was detached from the body, you shouldn't mourn, cry. This is hard, of course, but you shouldn't mourn, cry, or feel sorry for that. The more dark, low level emotions you feel, the more you push that spirit into darkness away from the body. Now, this is hard work because it's hard to see somebody dying, being your dear animal or being your dear human, family, whoever. It's very hard. But if you succeed to detach emotionally, you can help that spirit. It happened to me in 2013. They killed uh, my aunt this way. And when I went into the cemetery to see her body, I was like so crying. And I was crying for 12, 30, I don't know how many hours. And since I found out until I got to see her. And because I didn't know all this back then. And when I saw her, I prayed for her crying, and I saw her spirit, how she came back from death, from darkness, you know, and she was very happy that, and she said, "You brought me back," and she touched my cheek, like in a very loving way. You brought me back. Um, I didn't understand anything, and I was like, oh my God, I'm hallucinating. That's what I thought at the time, because I was doing this stuff, but I didn't know the powers I had. I didn't know the gifts I have. I didn't know anything about this. And literally later on, when I started consciously spiritual fighting and I started learning about this, God has shown to me, this is what you did for her back then. You helped her bringing back the spirit. And by that and your prayer, her spirit integrated with the soul, which was already with us. So you helped her a lot. This is why she was happy when she touched your cheek. You know. And then I learned that I have this gift, you know, so I said, okay, so I can pray more to integrate more spirits if it's the case, you know. I didn't know. You should have told me. If I knew, I would have prayed for this before. And since then, like every day almost, I make a prayer for this, for God to integrate spirits, whoever. I don't necessarily ask by name because this is part of God's desire. So he ultimately he gets to decide who integrates or not. But again, it's important to understand that the emotions you put into that person will help them go further into darkness and hands of evil people doing necromancy using their spirit, or will help them go towards light. Now, of course, this takes practice as well. Uh, Not everybody has the same gift to achieve this type of healing by prayer and invocation. But anyone can help. Now, the next important step is if the death is final and you don't succeed to actually resurrect the individual, at least you succeed to do the healing for them, which means, again, integrating the spirit with the soul to be in 5D with God. The next important thing is to know that necromancy is being done in 3D by these convents, by church itself. Yeah. And again, this was confirmed to me by a priest. Because initially, when God said this to me, I couldn't believe it. I was like, no, this is not possible. This is crazy. And I asked the priest, is this true? And he said, yeah. Not all priests are doing, but some are working with these convents and are providing all the lists given by individuals for prayer for the dead ones. And definitely people working in the cemetery are part of this process. Yeah. So because of this, this is how they pull back the spirit. Even if you help the spirit integrate with the soul, if it's not fully healed, by doing rituals in cemeteries on their remains, they will put them back. Yeah. So for this reason, the most important thing you can do for your dead one is to incinerate them, so they don't have the physical remains to do rituals on. Even if they do rituals, they can do rituals on objects owned by that individual, on house or anything that was owned by that individual, but they don't have the remains. This is very important. Yeah. I learned this later on. Now, in order to succeed to get out of a death attack without dying, you need to go back to the previous videos. All the attacks which I described in the last videos, the technology, the medical treatment, the sorcery, all of that relates to death. Those are later stages elevation and evolution type of knowledge, which usually you gain when you get close to the death attacks. Yeah. So all of that by meridians, by vagus nerve, by this and that, all of this is why the medical treatment is included there, because many people die in hospitals. And even if not in hospitals, under medical treatment from hospital doctors and nurses and so on. Yeah. So this is why the last video, which actually are two videos, so you must go and watch that. This is how you get out, by that type of healing. And Again, I gave their explanations how you heal. It's meridians and vagus nerve, but it's most important the third eye and the tympans, which connect to different by nervous system, connect to different type of chakras in your body, as well as the vagus nerve. The vagus nerve goes through all chakras up to throat chakra included. Yeah. um, which usually is being used a lot in death attacks. Strangulation is part of the attacks included in the death attack. So yeah, uh, wild animal spirits are being used. Wild cat spirits have been used on me for some years now, with for death attack, and on my dog Lucky as well. Um, because wild animals have a certain type of spirit, a predatory spirit, which I don't know how to say, views death as normal, as part of their everything, part of their feeding, part of their survival, part of. So the wild animal spirits are usually used for death attacks in sorcery. So the individuals take on those spirits and they attack you with those spirits. Yeah. Idiot woman neighbor here across the street did this for years at me. Another one which used to live next to me, doppelgangers, both of them of me, imitating me, impersonating me. Both used this wildcat spirit, and this is how I learned. I asked God. I said, "Why wildcat?" Why? And God explained to me, "This is why, because wild animals view death as normal, and they hound, and they domestic animals usually are being domesticated through all sorts of practices which are not healthy for them, um, including food and stuff and training, instead of allowing them to listen to their instincts. Usually domestic dogs and cats and animals, they train them how to behave, not to bother them, instead of listening to them, to learn from their instincts, unfortunately. And this makes them much more vulnerable to this type of attacks, but also not very useful to these sorcerers who do this. Yeah. I don't know what else to say to you, because I went through most of the information which comes to my head right now. Again, if you are the target of this type of attack, you need to start. I don't know how to say. You need to understand that you need to push away that um, levitation, which is clogging. This is all done by levitation. Tympans, third eye, um, these are the most important. Levitation and holograms being sent. If you cut that off, if you succeed to cleanse energy, like I said in the last videos, by meridians, by vagus nerve, by all that, um, you succeed to come back, to bring your spirit back. You don't allow them to pull it into darkness. This is the fight. Again, if it's somebody else, like somebody around you, you need to make sure that you pull them out. You can yell from the strength of your lungs for them to hear you. Like when these attacks were done on Lucky this summer, I was talking to him. He was not hearing me. I needed to yell from the lungs, from my lungs, for him, and then he would snap out from hypnosis. And because I've been through it in 2023, I knew this is the hypnosis which pulls you into darkness to die. I knew from the look on in his eyes. I knew this is what is going on. But again, unfortunately, I didn't know that before, as there were other dogs which they succeeded to kill. So I this summer I realized what I could have done more for those who did die, unfortunately. And you need to yell very loud. If it's you the target, then you need to make sure that you, I don't know what you want to do, but you can put music loud, you can yell to hear yourself yelling. This is also very important, because by yelling, for example, sometimes I give you an example. During death attacks, God would do something or will ask me to do something which he knows annoys me or insults me or something like this. I'm telling you, it's funny, but it's not so funny sometimes. And I was he would literally just on purpose annoying me, saying, "Do this, do this, do this, do this," something that I didn't want or didn't, and until I would get into a fight with him, literal fight, you know. And after a while, Jesus would show me he did this, because I was like, "Why, Jesus? He's saying this to me." And Jesus showed me he did this to make you angry because you were slipping away. They were pulling you into death and you were slipping away. We couldn't pull you anymore. And because of this, God made it on purpose to annoy you, to anger you, because as you got angry and you started yelling, "Why you say this, when why you did, you told me to do this and you said this," and you know, by doing that, you already uh, pushed that energy out from your tympans and from your nervous system. Yeah. So find somebody to fight with. I'm kidding. No, I'm kidding, but I'm not kidding. Because I gave you a real example how God pulled me out of death attacks many times by this, literally by starting fights with me, making me to start fights with him, literally. Yeah. So I guess this is I don't remember right now, nothing that comes to my mind to tell. There's huge pain, horrible energy, heavy, thick. You cannot breathe. I cannot explain to you. When you go through this, you will know that's death energy. You will understand, because it's extremely dark. It's extremely dark. So you will understand that that's a death attack on you. These are the advices that I can give. Again, it's just a matter of pushing that energy. You need to understand this. This is how much separates you from death. An effort to push that dark energy out, which is being sent to you. If you succeed to do that for long enough, then you snap out of it and you get free. It takes time to heal everything they put on you, because they put a lot of sorcery and necromancy and gang stalking. And the gang stalking means attaching a lot of spirits to you. And of course, it takes a lot. And it depends how the death attack is done on you. If it's also physical violence, then like when I had this death attack in 2023, for me, it was a physical accident. Like it was from a truck accident. I wrote on Facebook. I don't have time now to explain, because it's 33 minutes. It's enough. So it had